All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Gervonta Tank Davis, Devin Haney, and what Floyd Mayweather Jr. had to say about each of them and the possibility of these guys actually fighting. Let's do that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division talking about Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin Haney. Also, Floyd Mayweather Jr., CEO of Mayweather Promotions, also gave his 2 cents on Devin Haney and the contractual situation that's going on. But before I go into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for your continued support on the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, which we do on a daily basis, both in the live stream format and in the video format. So there's always somebody to chop it up about some good for some good boxing talk, which we all love to do. Now, let's get into this. A lot of conversation has been going on over the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks or so, about the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Devin the Dream Haney fight and whether or not it can take place, who's calling out who's ducking who, and all that stuff. And I think we got more than a little bit of closure on that regard. Now, as you know, Devin Haney is the undisputed 135-pound champion, lightweight champion, holds the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO belts. Gervonta Davis holds the WBA regular belt and is safe to say the most well-known, popular, and money-generating fighter in that division. So you really have, between the two of these guys, a situation where peanut butter and chocolate makes Reese's peanut butter cups, and a great situation to have a fight, right? Only problem is that it's, at this moment in time, not really realistic for the fight to be made because of the contractual obligations that are held by Devin the Dream Haney. Now, before I get into the specifics of that, though, Floyd Mayweather Jr., in a interview that he gave to Fight Hype, an excellent Fight Hype interview on Fight Hype. By the way, I'm certainly glad. I hope that you guys actually listen to this video and what I'm actually saying in the video instead of jumping to conclusions about what I'm saying. So in this fight, specifically when people ask for sources, like right now, I'm telling you at, what is this, 3 minutes and 36 seconds roughly of this video, it's of the actual recording. When we do the editing, it may shift the time a little bit. I'm telling you where I'm getting this information from. Getting it straight from the Fight Hype interview that Floyd Mayweather Jr. gave, where he was talking about what his role is in the PBC. And he specifically talks about Devin Haney. He specifically talks about Terrence Crawford and what those guys are going through and how they're in those problems, because they're in that situation because they are not signed with the PBC and himself, and putting himself in there as a PBC and pretty much saying, look at what's happening to Terrence Crawford. Look what happened to Terrence Crawford's career. Terrence stayed with them, stayed with Bob Arum, continued to sign with Bob Arum, and now he's in a lawsuit with him for not promoting him properly. You have Devin Haney, who's an undisputed champion at 135 pounds, but can't do the basically is in a lockdown type of contract with Bob Arum, where Bob Arum has him going over to fight, fights his original fight with George Kambosos over there. And he's like, yeah, that's not a big deal. Everybody's got to do it. Everybody's got to go on the road to fight. But after you win, how do you get stuck in a situation where you have to have a rematch, where you have to have the rematch on that person's home court again, right? And that just being an example of how Bob Arum did not look out for the best interests of Devin Haney when he signed with him. And one of the reasons why Devin Haney and guys like Terrence Crawford should be fighting over there at the PBC, where they really look out for fighters like that. Now, he didn't say anything specifically about black fighters, but he did say that he is always going to support his own. He's always going to support his own first. So I think that is, was heavily alluded to in what he said. Now, as far as the fight with Gervonta Tank Davis and where that situation is, again, he's not signed with Mayweather Promotions or the PBC, which would make that fight between he and Gervonta Davis an easy fight to make. Bill Haney, the manager / co-promoter of Devin Haney, or the president of Devin Haney promotional companies, and his father, obviously, we walked through what the scenario was related to the chances of Gervonta and Devin Haney fighting each other next. And it is, to be fair to the conversation, it is a good amount of hoops that have to be jumped through that have not been jumped through yet. So according to Bill Haney, there are Devin Haney has the rematch clause was exercised by George Kambosos. If George Kambosos does not take step aside money or just voluntarily allow Devin to fight somebody else, then Devin Haney has to fight him, or they got to risk going to court over that circumstance, which can be really, really messy and unlikely to take place. The other thing is, if Devin cannot make 140 pounds, then Devin will go fight at 140. However, it's not clear whether or not Gervonta Davis would be willing to fight at 140 pounds or not. Right. So because he's currently a 135-pound champion or a secondary title holder at 135 pounds, I would suspect that if Devin Haney dropped the 135-pound belt and moved to 140, that Gervonta Davis may very well just be able to fight for the WBA belt that's available. But in any scenario, it's not for certain whether or not he would be willing to fight Gervonta Davis at 140 pounds, a weight class that he is not campaigning in currently. So the long and the short of that situation is that that fight is not likely to take place next. The earliest that fight is likely to take place is probably in 2023, after an additional 2 fights for Devin Haney with Top Rank. The second being the first of the 2 remaining, second of the total 3 would be a fight, the rematch with George Kambosos. And then if he stays at 135 pounds, maybe a fight with Vasily Lomachenko, or he moves to 140 and fights at 140 with, against somebody that's at 140 who is with Top Rank more than likely. But out of the horse's mouth, there's a difficult scenario over there with Devin getting Gervonta next. And as far as what I think is being alluded to by Floyd Mayweather Jr. is that fight is, until he's actually with the PBC, it may be difficult to make a fight between the 2 of those guys at all. Even if Gervonta Davis is a free agent promotionally, he's still within the PBC. And I maintain, and I think that it would just be naive to assume that it's not true, that Floyd Mayweather Jr. has a lot to say about whatever fight he wants to have a say in that occurs on the PBC. He has most definitely got to be a partner in the entire franchise. So anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.